So this morning, upon studying concerning the coming Shavuot, I ran across a statement called the 3 days of darkness. And apparently in the Catholic Church, it is a folk tale. I don't know what it is. Their interpretation of what happens in Luke 21 in verse 25, where it says, "And there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity and seas roaring." Now it also says in Matthew 24:16 through 31. Actually in 29 it says, "Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven be shaken." Okay. So I asked the question, is this 3 days of darkness tale among the Catholics, is it true or is it false? Well, let's look at it. First, I need to go ahead and screen share here. We'll go to Wikipedia. What happened here? Okay, 3 days of darkness is an eschatological folk belief based upon private revelation within Catholicism, which parallels the 10 plagues against Egypt in the book of Exodus. So they claim, here's what they claim, and I quote, "Just as God punished the Egyptians with plagues, including the 3 days of darkness, the theory states that Satan will chastise the world with darkness at the end time." Satan? I thought it was our Father in heaven that was going to chastise the world. It's called the day of Jehovah's wrath, after all, is it not? So they say that the earth will be enveloped in darkness lasting 3 days and 3 nights, the only light source that can be seen being blessed candles and other satanic magic. Various Catholic visionaries agree that the faithful should stay inside their homes during this period, as most of the earth's inhabitants shall die. Now, they got all these mystics and seers, and they give their interpretation of it. One of them is Anna Maria Tegi, is the most known seer of the 3 days of darkness, and describes the event in this way: "There shall come upon the whole earth an intense darkness lasting 3 days and 3 nights. Nothing can be seen, and the air will be laden with pestilence, which will claim mainly, but not only, the enemies of religion. It will be impossible to use any man-made lighting during this darkness except blessed candles. He who out of curiosity opens his window to look out or leaves his home will fall dead on the spot. During these 3 days, people should remain in their homes, pray the rosary, and beg God for forgiveness. All the enemies of the church, whether known or unknown, will perish over the whole earth during that universal darkness, with the exception of few whom God will soon convert. The air shall be infected by demons who appear in all sorts of hideous forms." All right, I think that's enough of this particular seer. This is what most of these Catholics believe. Let us now go and see what the scripture says. We will first of all, where it's first mentioned, go to Joel 2. I've mentioned this many times. In verse 28, "And it shall come to pass afterward." After what? After Israel's tribulation is over, and just before the day of Jehovah's wrath on the Gentiles begins. How do I know this? We'll read. This will become abundantly clear right here when you start reading. "Afterward I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters. Whose sons and daughters? He's speaking to Joel, the daughters and the sons of his people Israel. Joel was a prophet for Israel. Your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions, and upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit. When? When is this going to happen? Huh? And I will show wonders in the heaven and in the earth, blood, fire, and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of Jehovah come. So did the Catholics just call our Father in heaven Jehovah Satan? Huh? Before the terrible day. What does terrible mean? Let's look at it. Strong's Concordance. So is it the terrible day of Jehovah, or is it the terrible day of Satan? Well, it depends on whose side you're on, you see. If you're going to call Israel's Elohim Satan, or your adversary, which is what appears to be happening here, folks, look. Terrible, frightful day of Jehovah. Terrible, fearful. Okay. Obviously, it is an extremely fearful day. Now, let's go back. Now, what happens during this day? Huh? It says, and it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord. Is that what it says? No, that's not what it says. The name of Jehovah shall be delivered, because in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem shall be deliverance. Uh-oh. That means Israel will be delivered in that time. Mount Zion, Jerusalem, hint, 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 huh? Can you take a hint? Shall be deliverance. An escape. Oh, you want to escape? You got to escape to Jerusalem. Not Rome, or not even in your own house. You see, this is what they say here. There shall come over the whole earth an intense darkness lasting 3 days and 3 nights. Nothing can be seen. The air will be laden with pestilence, which will claim many. But not only the enemies of religion, it will be possible to use any man-made light during this darkness except candles. He who out of curiosity opens his window to look out or to leave his home will fall dead on the spot. Kind of reminds me of an old Catholic fable that the earth was flat and anyone who went beyond the Atlantic Ocean would fall off the edge of the earth. Remember that one? Turns out it wasn't true. As Christopher Columbus and Galileo proved that the world was not flat at all. Anyway, one of which was a Jew. So now let's examine another. We'll go back to Matthew. No. Where I missed it. It's I got Matthew 24 up here twice. Let's go to Luke 21. All right, and let's see where the truth lies here. Okay, so we realize that Luke 21, verse 25, and Matthew 24, where is it? Matthew 24 and verse 29 are the same. Okay. Immediately after tribulation, those days shall the sun be darkened and the moon shall not give her light and the stars shall fall from heaven. Okay, so we go to Luke 21 and get to match verse 25, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and the stars. So what are the signs in the sun and the moon and the stars? That which is written in what I just read, and Joel 2. The sun will turn into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible, dreadful, fearful day of Jehovah's wrath comes. And upon the earth, tribulation upon the nations, upon the Gentiles. That's right. With perplexity, the waves and the seas roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear, falling dead for what they see. Dropping dead for what they see. For the things that they see which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And they will see, wait a minute, is this during the signs in the sun? Is this when darkness covers the earth? Is that when? And they shall see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory? Yes, it is. During the time of darkness. Now, and when these things begin to come to pass, close your windows and hide. Is that what it says? Well, this is what the Catholics will tell you. Are you going to believe that nonsense too? Or are you going to believe what is written right here in verse 28? And when you see these things come to pass, then look up. Don't look. They're saying don't go outside. Close your window. No. If you're going to look up, are you going to go look at the ceiling? Huh? Does that make any sense? If you're going to look up and lift up your head, where are you going to be? You're going to be outside, are you not? So do the opposite of what the Catholics tell you. Open the door of your house. Lift up your head and take a look outside. Why? Because you're going to see something. You're going to see the Son of Man in a cloud with power and great glory. And when it says, look up and lift up your heads because your redemption draws near, your redemption is Yehoshua Messiah. Well, apparently the Catholics don't believe that, and many of their following religions don't believe that either. Ezekiel 34. When are all Israel going to be gathered? We read, let's see here, in Matthew 24. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And they will see the sign of the Son of Man in heaven or in the sky. And then all the tribes of the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man coming in the cloud of heaven and with the power and glory. Why are they mourning? Because they believed a lie. They believe that the Son of Man is Satan. And then he will send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect. All says Israel is the elect, or Jehovah's elect, in Romans 11, verses 25 through 27, 28, if you care to look at it. From the four winds, from one end of the sky to the other. When is he going to do this? When is that going to happen? I'll tell you when it's going to happen. No, actually, our Father in heaven has already told you when it's going to happen. In Ezekiel 34. In that cloudy and dark day. That dark day. Let's go to Ezekiel 34 and verse 11. For thus saith Jehovah Elohim, behold, I, yes, I, will both not only search my sheep and seek them out, as a shepherd seeks us out in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep and will deliver them out of all the places where they are scattered in what? That cloudy and dark day. I will bring them out from the Gentiles and gather them from all the countries and will bring them into their own land and feed them upon the what? We just read in Joel 2, in Jerusalem, meaning on Mount Zion, the mountains of Israel, Mount Zion, and by the rivers and in the inhabited places of the country. All right. Let's look at Revelation 6. Jehovah the Father said he himself is going to be there among his sheep that are scattered. All right. The sixth seal. Verse 12, and when I beheld, he'd opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became blood, and the stars of heaven fell into the earth, even as a fig casts her untimely figs, and she is shaken with a mighty wind, and the heavens parted as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain, island, coastland were moved out of their places, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the rock, and chief captains and the mighty men and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. Why did they do that? Especially when it was written in Matthew 24, I believe, or was it in Luke 21? Especially it was written in Luke 21. And when you see these things begin, when you see the very beginning of it, means when it's dark. Then look up. Look up at the ceiling? No, look up at the sky. Why are these men crawling on their faces, hiding? They say they hid themselves in the den and the rocks of the mountains. It said unto the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne. Oh, you know who sits on the throne, don't you? Jehovah the Father. Yes, he will be here present on the earth exactly as he said in Ezekiel 34. But not only that, with his right hand, man. Hoshiach. Yehoshua. Hoshiach. And from the wrath of the Lamb, for the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? I'll tell you who. These people will be able to stand. When he says, as a shepherd delivers his flock, in the day when he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep and deliver them out of all the places where they were scattered in that cloudy and dark day. And I will bring them out from the Gentiles and gather them from the countries and will bring them into their own land and feed them upon the mountains of Israel. So Israel is going to be able to stand. So then, who is Yehoshua, Messiah, talking about? Right here in verse 28 of Luke 21. And when these things come to pass, then look up and lift your heads, because your redemption draws nigh. Israelites. Okay, during that time then, when the sun and the moon are not giving their light, the angels are going to be sent. Matthew 24. And they will gather together his elect from the four winds and from one end of the sky to the other. Now, do I honestly believe that the time of darkness is going to be 3 days and 3 nights? Maybe not. It might be a year. It doesn't say. Okay, let's look at that cloudy and dark day. All right. Cloudy and dark day. Let's look up that word. I don't know. I'm not pretending to not to know what's going on here. I'm learning this just like you are. Dark day. 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 Afternoon. Birthday. Daily. Day as opposed to night. In the heat of the day. Midday. Oh, well, look what we have here. Number 2, day as division of time. What in the world is that supposed to mean? Okay, in this particular, they have A, B, and C. They got a working day, a day's journey for B, but C, they have to denote a duration of various other acts or states, like 7 days. Okay. Two are combined. Do not eat and do not drink for 3 days or nights or day. D, day as in defined by evening and morning, as in Genesis 1 verse 5, and E of that particular portion, day of the month, with ordinal order. F, defined by a substantive infinitive or other clause, the snowy day, the rainy day or the cold day. Or how about the cloudy day? The day of darkness, huh? Maybe we're getting close. I don't know if we are or not. Day of acceptableness too. This is a long, long, long. Okay, so here, the day of Jehovah, chiefly as a time of his coming judgment. Well, wait a minute. The day of Jehovah's judgment is 3.5 days. No. 3.5 months. No. It appears to be 3.5 years. Years. The day of his coming judgment. Okay. So for thus saith Jehovah Elohim. See what it says? Oh, that says Adonai, but it means Jehovah Elohim. Oh, look here. Okay, so you see what King James does? For thus saith Adonai Jehovah. He's going to seek, to resort to, search both his sheep, small cattle, sheep, and goats, the whole flock, and seek them out, as a shepherd seeks out his flock in the day. Is that a single day? No. Is that 3 days? Nope. Nope. That he is among his sheep and that are scattered. So will I seek out my sheep and will deliver them out of all the places where they have been scattered in that cloudy and dark day. My friends, that cloudy and dark day is probably 3.5 years. And I will bring them out of the people and gather them from the countries, and will bring them into their own land and feed them upon the mountains of Israel by the rivers. Will jet planes be able to travel in this darkness? Of course. It's not the kind of darkness that you will obviously in this darkness be able to see the Son of Man in the cloud. How will be the darkness so thick that you can't see in your fingers in front of you if you're going to be able to see him in the cloud? It says the sun is not going to give her light and the moon into blood. What that means is something is going to be covering the sun, because anyway. It also says blood, fire, and pillars of smoke. Well, the blood, he's going to rain down blood upon the armies of the northern army. When you read Ezekiel 38, you'll see it. Verse 19, for in talking about when they come to invade the land of Israel from the north, for in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken, surely in that day there will be a great shaking in the land of Israel, so that the fishes of the sea, the fowls of the heaven, and the beasts of the earth, beasts of the field, and all the creeping things that are upon the earth, and all the men that are upon the face of the earth shall shake at my presence, and the mountains shall be thrown down, and the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground. And I will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains, says Jehovah, and every man's sword will be against his brother, and I will judge him with pestilence and with blood. He's going to rain blood down on them. And I will rain upon him, upon his bands, and all the many people that are with him, in overflowing rain, great hailstone, fire, and brimstone. Where was I? Oh, when I was talking about blood, fire, and pillars of smoke. In Joel 2. Right here. And I will show wonders in the sky and in the earth. Blood, fire, and columns of smoke. Columns of smoke are volcanic activity. Yet, according to Isaiah 60, we'll go there. Air travel will take place. The people who wait for him in the coastlands of the Mediterranean Sea and beyond will wait for him. And the ships of Tarshish chief, to bring your sons from far and their silver and gold with them. How are they going to do that? Verse 8, who are these that fly? Do ships fly? Well, yes. Yes, that is the cardinal form of travel that we have today on the earth. Air travel. Who are these that fly as a cloud like the doves to the windows? It's the people on the coastlands that wait for him, the coastlands of the sea. And the ships of Tarshish will be first to bring them. That's what it says. It's not hard to understand, folks. The ships of Tarshish, the flying ships of Tarshish, will be first to bring them. They will act first. Now, in the Ezekiel 38 and 39 war, we see that the young lions of Tarshish, you see the merchants of Tarshish, the capitalists of Tarshish, and their young states will take the side of Israel, will say unto you, will say unto Gog and Magog, Persia, Iran, and others, are you coming to take a spoil? Have you gathered your company to take a prey, to carry away silver and gold and take away cattle? So they're going to be on the side of Israel. So they're going to be first after the devastation to load up these people from their own countries, from far, far into the Atlantic, to bring these people home. Well, that's according to Isaiah 60. To bring your sons from afar with their money with them, unto the name of Jehovah your Elohim, to the Holy One of Israel, because he has glorified Israel. How did he do that? Through the Ezekiel 38 and 39 war. So you have been told something that is twisting the scriptures. So the question is, are you going to be one of those who will be hiding under the rocks and in the caves, demanding that the rocks fall on you and hide you from the face of the one who sits on the throne? Or will you take the advice of the Messiah himself, go outside, look up at the sky, and see your Messiah, knowing that your redemption draws near?